in the heart of a vast African savanna, where the golden sun kisses the endless horizon and the baobab trees stand like ancient sentinels, lived a young woman named Amina. She was 23, with eyes as bright as the morning stars and a spirit as restless as the wild winds that whispered through the tall grass. Her village, a small community of elders, hunters, and storytellers, had long lived under the watchful gaze of an old legend, a warning that echoed in every home: never enter the dark cave on the edge of the forest. This cave, known as Gama, was said to be a place where the spirits of the ancestors spoke in riddles, and where the boundary between the living and the unseen world blurred like the shimmering heat above the earth. Amina, however, was different from others in her village. Her curiosity was a flame that no warning could extinguish. From the day she was a child, she had listened wide-eyed to the griot's tales, imagining the mysteries hidden inside the cave's gaping mouth. The elders said that once you stepped inside, you might never return the same, or worse, never return at all. But Amina felt a pull she could not explain, a quiet voice that whispered in her dreams, urging her to seek the truth beyond the fear. Many nights she sat by the fire, wondering what secrets lay beneath the dark shadows where no light dared to reach. One afternoon, as the village prepared for the harvest festival, Amina stood at the edge of the forest, looking toward the cave. The sun was beginning its slow descent, casting long, eerie shadows that danced like spirits across the landscape. Her heart pounded with a mixture of fear and excitement. She knew the elders' warnings were not without reason, but the unknown called to her like the drumbeats echoing in the distance. What if the cave held answers about her family's past, or secrets that could protect her people? That day, a decision settled deep inside her. She would enter the cave not to challenge the spirits, but to understand them. As she stepped closer, the air grew cooler, and a strange silence fell over the land, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. The entrance loomed before her, dark and mysterious, like a giant mouth waiting to swallow her whole. She hesitated, then took a deep breath, feeling the weight of generations in her footsteps. What lay inside was a secret the village had guarded for centuries, a secret that promised knowledge but threatened doom. The cave was more than stone and darkness. It was a test of courage, curiosity, and respect for the unseen. Little did Amina know her choice would unravel a mystery far deeper and more dangerous than she ever imagined. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple, Amina felt a steady resolve settle within her chest. The villagers' warnings echoed in her mind, but her heart throbbed with a restless curiosity stronger than any fear. At 23, she was old enough to understand caution, yet young enough to be drawn by the unknown. She took a deep breath, gripping a small, flickering candle tightly in her hands, and stepped silently out of her home. The cool evening air kissed her skin as she moved through the village. Past huts where elders sat weaving tales and children played under the soft glow of firelight. No one noticed her departure. They had all long accepted the sacred silence surrounding the cave. The path to Ngoma Cave was narrow and winding, overgrown with thorny bushes and ancient trees that seemed to lean in closer as if guarding the secrets within. Amina's footsteps barely disturbed the dry leaves beneath her feet. Every rustle, every crack of a twig felt amplified in the heavy silence of the forest's edge. She remembered the stories her grandmother told of spirits who guarded the cave, watching travelers with eyes unseen, and of those who entered only to be swallowed by darkness, never to return. But Amina was not just any traveler. She was a daughter of the land, raised on the tales of courage and wisdom that defined her people. The pull of the cave was more than mere fascination. It was a call to uncover truths buried beneath generations of fear. As she reached the entrance, the cave loomed before her like a great yawning mouth, its darkness deeper than the night itself. The air grew cooler, thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient stone. She lit her candle and took her first step inside, the flame casting trembling shadows on the jagged walls. The silence was profound, so profound that even her breath seemed too loud. Each step echoed softly, but the deeper she went, the more the sounds of the outside world faded away, replaced by an unsettling stillness. It was as if the cave was alive, watching her, waiting. Amina's eyes caught ancient carvings etched into the rock, symbols and figures telling stories she had never seen before. These were no ordinary markings. They whispered of ancestors long gone, their spirits forever bound to this sacred place. She traced her fingers over the rough stone, feeling a strange warmth beneath her touch, as though the stories were alive, reaching out to her across time. Then, from somewhere deep within, a faint glow appeared, a soft golden light pulsing gently, inviting her onward. The cave was not just a place of darkness, but a gateway to something greater, something that required courage and respect. Suddenly, a voice, faint and distant, brushed her ears like the rustle of leaves. It spoke her name, Amina, in a tone both tender and sorrowful. The voice seemed to carry the weight of generations, a warning wrapped in a memory. It told of a young woman who dared to seek beyond the veil, who faced trials that tested her soul. Amina's heart raced as the cave's mysteries began to unfold around her, the walls echoing with stories of bravery, loss, and the price of knowledge. She realized that the cave was not simply a place to fear, but a living testament to the connection between the living and the spirits of the past. Yet, with each secret revealed, a new question emerged. Was her curiosity a gift or a curse? Was she prepared to face what lay hidden in the shadows, truths that might change her life forever? As the candle flickered and the cave breathed with unseen life, Amina stepped deeper into the darkness, unaware that the journey she had begun was more than a search for answers. It was a test of heart, will, and respect for the delicate balance between the worlds. The night stretched on, and with it the mystery grew, a mystery that would soon turn her world upside down. The deeper Amina ventured into the cave, the heavier the air became, thick with the scent of earth, and something else she could not name, something ancient and powerful. Her candle flickered wildly as if it sensed the growing tension, casting eerie shadows that danced along the jagged walls like restless spirits. The silence was no longer empty. It was charged with a presence, an invisible force that made every hair on her body stand on end. She felt eyes watching her from the darkness, not just the eyes of the living, but those of ancestors, guardians, and spirits who had long dwelt in the cave's hidden chambers. Every step seemed to echo with whispered warnings, voices lost to time, but alive in the cold stone. Amina's heart pounded fiercely in her chest. She knew turning back was an option. Many before her had done so, heeding the elders' warnings. But something stronger than fear compelled her forward. She thought of her village, the stories yet untold, and the legacy she was meant to carry. The carvings on the walls grew more intricate, telling tales of courage, betrayal, and sacrifice. She saw images of women like herself, fierce, brave, and bound by duty to seek truth, even when it meant facing the unknown. One carving showed a woman standing before a shadowy figure, her eyes steady, her stance unyielding. Was this a warning or a guide? As she moved deeper, a sudden cold breeze swept through the cavern, snuffing out her candle. In the pitch black, panic surged, but Amina forced herself to breathe deeply, feeling round for the cave walls to steady her. Then, softly, from the darkness came a low chant, rhythmic and haunting, as if the cave itself was alive with voices from the past. The chant told of a secret kept for generations, a secret that balanced the fate of the living and the spirits. Amina listened closely, realizing that curiosity had opened a door that many feared to unlock. The spirits did not want to be disturbed. They wanted respect, understanding, and a promise that their story would not be forgotten. Suddenly, a faint light appeared ahead, glowing with an otherworldly hue. As she approached, she saw a small altar carved into the rock, decorated with symbols of the sun, moon, and ancestral spirits. On it lay a beautifully woven cloth, old but vibrant, and a small, intricately carved wooden box. Amina's hands trembled as she reached out, her fingers brushing against the box's surface. The moment she touched it, a rush of images flooded her mind, visions of past generations, their joys, their fears, and the heavy price of knowledge. She saw a woman, much like herself, who had entered the cave out of curiosity and was forever changed, bound to the spirits, but also empowered by their wisdom. Then came the twist. The woman in the vision was not just any ancestor. She was Amina's great-great-grandmother, a guardian of the village's deepest secrets. She had entered the cave in search of truth, but had paid dearly for it, trapped between worlds, her spirit unable to rest until the next seeker arrived. Amina realized that the cave was not just a place of danger, but a sacred link, a bridge connecting past and present, life and spirit. The warning was not to scare people away, but to prepare them. Only those with respect, courage, and pure intent could enter without losing themselves. Her heart ached with the weight of this revelation. She understood now that curiosity was a double-edged sword. It could bring enlightenment or destruction, depending on how it was wielded. Amina was at a crossroads. Continue to seek the answers and risk being lost in the cave's eternal darkness, or retreat and live with the mystery forever. The spirits whispered again, reminding her that knowledge comes with responsibility. To seek without respect was to invite doom, but to seek with honor could bring healing to her people. With a deep breath, Amina made her choice. She would honor the spirits, carry their stories, and protect the balance between worlds. But she also knew that what awaited her next was beyond anything she had imagined. A test of her soul, her strength, and the very essence of her humanity. The cave had revealed its first secret, but the greatest mysteries were still shrouded in darkness, waiting for her to step forward. Amina stood before the altar, the weight of her ancestors' gaze pressing gently yet firmly upon her soul. The air inside Ngoma was alive with a tension that felt almost sacred, a fragile balance between the world of the living and the unseen spirits that had guarded the village for centuries. Her fingers still brushed the carved wooden box, and within its ancient grain she felt the pulse of generations who had walked this path before her. The cave had opened its heart to her, but now it was time for her to reveal her own. She whispered a quiet prayer, honoring the spirits and promising to carry their stories back to the people who had warned her not to enter. Yet as she prepared to leave, a sudden chill swept over the chamber, an invisible barrier closing behind her, locking her within the sacred space. Panic rose like a storm inside her, but Amina fought to stay calm. The flicker of her candle danced wildly, revealing shadows that seemed to take form, ghostly figures of her ancestors, their eyes filled with sorrow and warning. Then came the voice, clear now, resonant and commanding. "Curiosity brought you here, child, but respect will be your salvation. To leave, you must answer one question. What is the price of knowledge? Amina's heart thundered, her mind racing through the stories she had learned all her life. She thought of the village elders' warnings, the sacrifices carved into the cave walls, and the vision of her great-great-grandmother, trapped between worlds. Slowly she spoke, her voice steady but filled with humility. The price of knowledge is responsibility. It is the courage to carry truth, the wisdom to protect it, and the strength to face consequences without fear. The cave seemed to breathe, the shadows retreating as the spirits nodded in solemn approval. The path to the entrance glowed faintly, and a warm breeze brushed Amina's cheek as if the cave itself was releasing her. As she stepped toward the light, the wooden box in her hand suddenly felt lighter, and she knew it carried not only secrets but a blessing, a sacred trust to be shared wisely. Emerging from the cave into the night's cool embrace, Amina looked back once more. The dark mouth of Ngoma was no longer just a place of fear, but a symbol of her people's connection to their past, their spirits, and their future. Back in the village, Amina became a griot, a storyteller and keeper of tradition, carrying the cave stories with reverence and care. She taught the villagers that curiosity, while a powerful force, must always be balanced with respect and caution. The cave had tested her, showing that knowledge is not a prize to be seized lightly, but a responsibility that shapes the destiny of those who seek it. The elders' warning was not simply a fear to protect the village, but a lesson passed down through generations, a reminder that some mysteries must be approached with humility, for curiosity can awaken forces far greater than the seeker imagines. The story of Amina and Gumma Cave spread beyond the savannah, a tale whispered around fires and sung in songs, reminding all who heard it that the pursuit of knowledge is a journey filled with shadows and light. Curiosity, like the wild wind across the grasslands, can carry one to great heights or sweep one into the depths. But with courage, respect, and a humble heart, even the darkest caves can reveal their wisdom without swallowing the seeker whole. And so, the ancient warning lived on, not as a threat, but as a guiding star for all who dare to seek the unknown.